One of the things we encounter in early drawing is the tree with apples, the duck with a head and feet and a tail and wings, and the puddle. And the puddle and a little grass. And the puddle is always a little not quite real. So let us take a quick course on puddles. And we'll put our paper this way. And we're going to talk about the word flatten. So here we go. Put a line above the middle. So where's the middle? Easy to find the middle of anything. Simply by putting one corner to another, you'll find the middle. And most landscapes are better if the horizon line is above the middle or below the middle. But anyways, and put our itty bitty dot there and just go like this. Maybe we should just take that out after we've used it. And just take that and make sure your lines radiate from the little dot outwards. There. Now, if this was the first section, which is parallel to the edge of the paper, these are all oblique lines, and we are using parallel perspective. I want the next one, I can actually give you the formula. Why not? This and this, we're going to find the middle of this part, which is here. So I was a little out here. Let's take that as the next one anyways. So we take the middle right there. Now I find the middle of this one and this one. You can get this in John Ruskin's book, The Elements of Drawing. Why you would want to, but it's kind of interesting. So there's the middle of the next one. Now I find the middle of the next one. You'll notice that they keep getting progressively smaller. Let's make this one here. So from here to here, they're progressively getting smaller. Now each of these lines, let's pretend that we need to draw a puddle. So our first puddle is going to be in these two quadrants from here to the bottom. So I just make like a wiggly puddly shape. Any wiggly puddly shape, as long as you keep it within these two. Now my next one is going to be within this quadrant here. So just wiggly shapes. Maybe a little puddle there. See? Now my next one, puddle, is going to be, it's a big puddle day here. It's going to be there. Maybe a long skinny one. Time for a little sharpen here on my 6B. I do like soft pencils, I have to admit. I'm not a hard pencil sort of person. Now here's my next one. So I'm going to put a little puddle in here. And then as the puddles get farther away, they flatten out. Now, that's a good starting diagram, but wow, you do a lot of erasing here. A lot of erasing to make it look good. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to eyeball it. All I have to remember is as my puddles get farther away, they get flatter. You really see this at the beach tidal pools. I can even make one come in like this. See? So see how they get flatter as they get farther away. And then I put my mountains in here. And guess what? The same principle applies to clouds. They get flatter. If you've ever been to the prairies, this is what you see. It's an amazing sight. Okay, so quickly, the nature of a puddle is to reflect, but there is a puddle trick. And let me show you the puddle trick. Here's the rule. There's always a few rules in perspective drawing. Whatever edge you can see in front of you, just take your 6B or a softer pencil and darken only the edges that are, you wouldn't darken this because the edge is on the other side. You would darken here, and not quite there, but you'd start right about there. There we go. And you're darkening the edges. Oh, you wouldn't see this one, but you'd see it here. And and there. And you're darkening the edges that are in front of you. The edges you can see. Oh, not that one. It's okay. Oh, not that one. That one. That one, that one, that one. A little bit there. Less as you get farther away. And then throw a few, what's an easy way to do it? I think with our little blending stump, just pop in a few vertical strokes. Vertical strokes give the feeling of reflection. Whoop, a little bit over there, that's okay. So here's my mountain, so actually it would be reflecting in a bit more here. There's my sky. Add a little texture on the ground. And you've got yourself a puddle picture. And we have one of our pictures here is on shading and flattening, getting puddles. So here's a little West Coast quick sketch I did in a class, and it has a puddle in it. We're going to do a quick little picture that draws it and paints it and uses the three-dimensional idea of flattening as we go near the horizon line. So we're going to put this practical knowledge into a creative use. But let me just put in a rock. Now the rock is going to be rounded on the bottom. Remember, we're thinking 3D. So this is rounded on the bottom, like even a rock, whatever shape it is, has dimension, it has depth. So I'm rounding it here, and then I'm just going to put in a little shape like that. You have one here, and then he's going to have another little one here, and a medium one here. That gives me a papa bear, and a mama bear, and a baby bear. You can call them big, medium, small, anything you want. I'm fond of the three bears, so I'll go with Papa, Mama, Baby, Papa, Mama, Baby, or all by himself. Let's put a line on an oblique. Now, because of our studies in 3D, you can remember that if the horizon line's here, creating interest by shooting this way on an angle is called an oblique, and we don't want to have the line all the same, so I'm going to break it up here. There we go. A couple dots here. Now I can put in my straight line. Now I don't want it to come right through here because that wouldn't be as artistic as coming a little bit below here. There we go, and that's what everything's going to sit on. So if we look at this picture, you can see that I have a little bit of a wiggly line here, and then I have my mountains behind, and then I've put an arrangement of trees. One, and a little higher, two there, and rather than right exactly in the middle of the rock, I think I'll go off to the side with this one, and then three behind there. 1, 2, 3. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. And we're in business. Now, this is a pine tree, and pine trees grow like this. I don't know if you ever study trees, but the branches go down on the bottom. That's perspective. Here's the tree, and you're looking at it. There's the horizon line. So the upward branches, the downward branches are pointing down like this, and then as they go up, they start to flatten, just like the puddle, and then they start pointing up, and eventually you get it like that. And look at how in perspective that little tree is, because we're using our knowledge of dimensional drawing. Pointing down, pointing down, but eventually it points up. And that's how we make our tree look 3D, pointing down. Well, mind you, I didn't do it too much here. And then as they're farther away, I just add a few little things like that. Now, a couple waves through here. And now here's our puddle. I'm going to put a puddle in here using my little zigzag. And I'm not going to bring it right out of the picture. I'm just creating a pleasing little shape. And I'm going to put one more here. Now we do get puddles right off the picture. Should I put, no, I think that's good enough. Now, look at our drawing. Take a look at your drawing. I'm going to have a little weather coming in here. It should be a simple process to paint it in. Let's wet the picture. By wetting the painting, we are saturating the painting with some water. The paper is very, very wet, and I may not want it to be too wet, so I'm going to take a tissue and just roll it on there a couple times, pat it, and now my paper is damp, just the way I like it. Take a little more yellow ochre with my brush on the rock and in the sand, but not in the puddle. There we go. Now I trust that the paper is just the right wetness. It's just going to spread nicely, and I'm not going to be in any trouble at all. Clean off my brush, and the next step is I'm going to add a little bit of a cadmium yellow or a Hansa yellow. These yellows are great because they're very, very yellow. And that's going to go along the bottom of this one. Not so much in here. I want the blue here so it looks farther away, and I might add even a little couple touches to my trees. Now my paper's just the right wetness. Okay, here we go. So see how the paper is tilted. If it's tilted, it's going to run. And that's what we want, is running. Even if this runs up a bit. So I take my big brush again, and this time I'm going to make a little puddle of the crimson, but I'm going to mix it in with a little bit of blue that was left here. I'm kind of consulting my original picture. A bit of a stormy day down on the coast. So tilting the picture up or down, whichever way you want the water to run. And now I've got 3 spots, 1, 2, 3. You can see it's running nicely here. So what would I do there? Well, because it's yellow, I think I'll take a little bit of the crimson, put it here, and put a little of the crimson into the sky. 3 places. I like that number 3. And I'm going to tilt, pick this up so it doesn't go everywhere. That's why I like these boards. You can tilt them different ways. Now you'll notice that the paint is only going where the paper is wet. So I can bring it down here a little bit. So what I want to do is take a little water and redirect my flow. I want to keep some of this just the way it is. Kind of reminds me of our candle picture we did with the festive candle watercolor. The tree is like on fire. And you know, we do get trees on fire here. They're called tamarack trees, and they get pretty bright in the fall. So I can take a rag like this to soak up my drips. Notice my first coat is quite light. It's not dark. Water here. So, oh, and here's where I put my first little touch into the puddle, but I don't touch it all. I leave some white. Now while that's sort of mixing, I'm going to take some pure blue, because I really like this blue section here. Fill it in. even pop it in here. Maybe pop it in here a little bit. Whatever's up here, you want to put it in the bottom too. And a little blue in the water because it's blue here. So there's my picture. I'm using that as a model for this picture. Now how do I make the puddle stand out? Simply by making it dark here and keeping it light here. So I'm going to darken up the sand, and to do that I'm going to take some blue and I'm going to be tilting and letting things run. So if I put the blue in this way and then a little bit of red. Oh, I see some red up in the sky there. I think I'll just steal a little bit of red from here, let it drip down into my brush and pop it in here. Now when I tilted the paper, you see how it went over there? And that's no problem. I take my rag and there we go. So I think it's a good time to repeat something, and the repetition is watercolors dry lighter, not darker. On my rock here, little shadow area, maybe a little bit of red in there. Oh, this is good. Little reflection there. Notice the paper starting to dry, and I'm just adding little bits of red and blue. Dropping it in. Paper's wet, I can drop it in. If the paper's dry, it'll stay in place. Now that looks like a bunch of dots, but it is going to mix. I think I need a little dark here. So I'll take some of the phthalo blue and pop it in. I'm letting, whoa, that's runny, it's pretty wet. So I'm just going to drop it in. Take my rag, touch it out. Funny thing about watercolors is they don't look that great when you put them on. They sort of, but then the magic happens and they start to mix all by themselves. Just drop it in. There we are. Dropping it in, it'll mix nicely. A little bit down here. I'm going to try a little darker, get a little bolder. It's not going into my rock. I'm going to come right up to my rock here. There. These two lines here, I'm going to power through those. Things are happening here. Drop it in before it dries too much. Drop some in. Especially in the foreground. This is the foreground, middle ground, background. Now my puddle, I haven't even modeled it yet, hardly at all. This one, maybe one more, and another one here, just to darken the bottom of the rocks. I think I'll just, it's going to dry lighter, so, I'm going to get a little bold and put a really good, thick, see how thick it is? It's still wet, but it's thick. And we're going to let that drop down a bit like a stormy cloud and see what happens. So it's drying up here pretty good. It's not moving too much here. Coming into the tree. I'm going to tilt it a little bit over this way. That's why I like these boards. Like I say, you can kind of bend the board. Keeping my eye on here. Oh, look at that. That cloud, that white cloud's pretty cool. Should I do it? Yes. Whoa. That does look good. I like that. Maybe a little water. I'll add a little water. That's kind of bold. Just to make it run a bit. See? Okay, it's running through now. We've got a cloud here. I hope it runs right through here. Yeah, it's definitely, it's running. Definitely coming through there. No, I've added a little bit of water to it now because I want the edge a little softer. There. As a matter of fact, got to leave a little bit of the white there, just a bit. I think I'll open this up with a wet brush, see? Get a cloud form, see, rolling the brush. Nice, that's coming. And here, ooh, look at my tree over there, that's worked out. I'm thinking that's about right. There's the dark at the bottom. Got my eye on that still. 1. Remember, they dry lighter. 1, 2, 3. Little one there, little one there, and a little bit right there. Okay. These are the Staedtler colored pencils, and I'm going to use a few of those to do my puddle trick, which is to darken the edges that I can see. And of course they break a little easier, but that's okay. Keep moving here. And there's a little piece there. So I can actually go over a bit of my picture with the colored pencil. Mixed media is always great. I like it. There's my rock. I'm going to add a little bit of this reflecting into the puddle here. And my tree here, my rock. Why not add a little bit into the water? I put a little bit of orange on here. And you can buy really expensive ones, but these are permanent. They're not going to go anywhere. And you can take your blending stump and take a clean one, and they will rub over like that. See, you can rub them in. Pencil crayons are wonderful for adding small details. If you feel like you can't do it with a brush, use a pencil crayon. And I'm looking for a dark green now. You want to do a little bit of work on your picture, but you don't want to get all your paints out. Or maybe you just want to do 10 or 15 minutes to relax. Tighten up your drawing a little. See, these are working great. A little more around the puddle. Adding a few little dark accents. You'll notice this paper's bone dry now. Once the paper's dry, you can get the paint darker. One little dark area in the rock, just near the bottom. See what it looks like now. Don't pull the tape straight. You may rip your paper.